Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to the undefeated. No, this is the Total Takedown. That's right. Your boy had one heck of a day yesterday, so I apologize. I apologize for the weird angle. I'm just trying to get this thing done and get it out for you guys because I know this show has a bit of a diehard following, pun intended. Can't leave you guys hanging. Let's go ahead and go over these totals here real quickly for you here for UFC 311. Tagir Ulanbekov and Clayton Carpenter. Over is minus 280, under 2.5 is plus 210. This one feels like an over to me the way these guys both fight. I don't think Clayton's going to be easy to finish, but Tagir has that nuclear front headlock choke series, so I think he can finish this fight at some point in time. And Ulanbekov seems a little fragile. I don't think Clayton Carpenter's got the type of one hitter quitter power to actually put him out. I'm just saying over seems like it should be the thing, but there are opportunities for it to go under. I will say over 2.5 for the first fight of the night, but not one that I want to play with. There's a weird dynamic going on with that fight. Ricky Tercios and Bernardo Sopai. It's kind of the same thing. Over 2.5 minus 200, under 2.5 plus 154. Gross splits. Please guys check out Bet Openly. Jump on there, deposit $20, something like that. It would go a long way to helping me out. This fight is odd to me because I've got Bernardo Sopai, but tons of money is coming in on Ricky Tercios. This line is closing. And I kind of thought Sopai might be able to like get a ground and pound TKO or something like that on Ricky, but as I'm looking at this fight longer throughout the week, he's just too squiggly. He's too squirmy. Like he's going to constantly make Sopai work, and that was the problem with Sopai in his last fight, is that he completely gassed out. So I'm now worried about that maybe happening here against Ricky Tercios. Ricky's not a finisher. His fights always go to decision if he's winning them, and usually they're splits. So it's very close, very greasy, very competitive. I hope Sopai has patched up some of those cardio concerns. Over 2.5. Would probably go ahead and be the play here for me on this one. But again, just like the last one, there's reasons to be worried about that fight getting up and over. Rinyat Nakamura takes on Muin Gafurov, 2.5 total. Again, same line as the last one. Over 2.5 is minus 200. Under 2.5 is plus 154. And I think the over 2.5 again makes sense in this one. But I'm worried about Rinyat Nakamura being able to finish Muin Gafurov via submission or something like that late in the fight. He's such a good grappler. We saw Muin Gafurov get taken down by Kyung Ho Kang a lot in his last fight. Nakamura, theoretically, physically stronger, getting better, slicker grappler. So all those things coming into play, he could potentially finish. And Muin Gafurov has nukes in his hand. This guy swings heavy, so if he catches Rinyat at the right time coming in, he could theoretically again put him down. Again, I'm going to say at the decision, I'm going to say over 2.5, but minus 200. I just don't like those chalky overs, man. There's something about those that get me all weirded out. Carol Hossa and Aileen Perez, another 2.5 where the over is minus 500 for this one, and that's just gross. I like the Carol Hossa round 3 sprinkle, you guys. I think that calf kick is going to just absolutely destroy Aileen Perez. We've seen she's got cardio problems. We've seen she's got gas tank problems. She can be had when she makes mistakes. She ends up on bottom sometimes if she gets tired. We saw Jocelyn Edwards be able to put her on her back. And if she's on top of Carol Hossa, Carol's tough to finish. She's very good. I think she's a black belt as well. But Perez is getting better. We've seen her submission game and her ground and pound game start to kind of develop and come along. So this is another one where minus 500, not a chance. Like, is this thing going the distance? I mean, probably. It's a Carol Hossa fight, but not a chance. I can't with that number. Grant Dawson, Diego Fajea, over 2.5 minus 160. Under 2.5 is plus 125. And I actually kind of like the under here on this one a little bit. I know a lot of people are talking overs here, but Grant Dawson has death gassed himself trying to finish his opponent in the past. We've seen that very recently, actually. And Carlos Diego Ferreira is a guy who is extremely dangerous in every aspect of the game. Very good striker, hits decently hard. High level, extreme high level BJJ black belt, obviously higher level than Grant Dawson. So if Grant gets tired, what do we say? Tired people tap. So I can absolutely see Carlos Diego catching Grant Dawson in a sub after maybe like clipping him and rocking him on his way in for a takedown or something like that. And Carlos is going to be 40 years old, so Grant Dawson could get on top of him and just kind of Donkey Kong ground and pound him out. There's a chance that Diego is just old this week on Saturday. So I do think there's some opportunity for violence there in that fight. Maybe look for a fight doesn't go the distance or something like that, because we have seen literally Grant Dawson winning a fight via TKO with 2 seconds on the clock in the third round. So I would look at playing doesn't go the distance at minus 105 or something like that, and get those extra 2.5 minutes. Zach Reese and Azamat Bokaev. We've got 1.5 finally. Over 1.5 is minus 185. Under 1.5 plus 145. And I would lean towards the under, I guess, in this one, just because Zachary Reese has been a round one machine. Now, I know they've got this thing chalked up to the over. Asmat is brand new to the UFC. I'm not super familiar with his. Word on the street is he's got a pretty bad gas tank. So I think either way, one of these guys is probably going to look to finish early, and whoever doesn't get that finish early probably gets finished shortly thereafter. So I'm expecting violence in this fight. I would look towards the under 1.5. Jailton Almeida and Sergey Spivak, another 1.5 total. It's a pick 'em here at 1.5, and that makes sense because it's Jailton Almeida. I was on this rampage when Jailton first kind of got going. I was always looking to try to fade him. I was always trying to get up and over, and he just kept on cashing the round one finish props. Like, he just always kept on being able to take people down. Even if it took him into the second round, he would do it in the first minute of the second round. So, like, I just kept on getting burned on these 1.5s. Sergey being a UFC caliber, UFC heavyweight grappler, that's exactly what I'm looking for to try to get Jailton extended a little bit, right? But we've also seen that Sergey Spivak is more than willing to go down to his back. He does not have the stone takedown defense hips of like a Curtis Blades, and Jailton Almeida was able to throw Curtis Blades around the cage for the first round of their fight. So I actually think the under 1.5 probably makes some sense here. Again, I could see Jailton getting on top of Spivak and just kind of getting a positional TKO without Spivak being able to get away or escape and being in the unfamiliar territory of being on his back. I know he's got good hips, and that frankly helps because I don't think you're catching Jailton in an armbar the way that he caught Tybura in his last fight, but I'm just saying it's there. We have to address it. So yeah, I'm saying under 1.5. Peyton Talbot and Hani Barcelos, another 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 165. Under 1.5 is plus 130, and I think the over 1.5 makes sense on this one. Hani's lost a lot of his speed. He's lost a lot of that ability to dip and dodge and avoid, so he's going to be kind of a sitting duck. He's there to be hit, but like I said in Peyton Talbot's last fight, now he made me look silly. I said he wasn't going to get the round one KO because that's just kind of not how he fights. He takes what you give him. Well, his opponent gave him a very clean round one KO, so he just had to kind of take it. He just kind of drilled him right in the face, and that was it. It was over. I don't think Hani's going to be quite that reckless, but I do think Hani's going to get tagged up, and the deeper this fight goes, the more he slows down, the more Peyton's going to let go on him. I think the over 1.5 makes sense because I don't expect Talbot to just one punch Hani Barcelos, but with Hani getting older the way he is, it's definitely something that kind of has me a little bit nervous about getting too involved there. But yeah, lean over 1.5 for that one. I'm seeing late round 2, maybe round 3. Might even be a Talbot decision type of situation with this being a big step up in his competition. Bogdan Guskov and Billy Alakana, 1.5 total, over 1.5 plus 105, under 1.5 minus 135. And yeah, this is a under 1.5 minus 135 kind of situation in my opinion. Bogdan is a guy that just foot on the gas. All he does is go out there and look to take people's heads off. And if he can't get that done, we've seen him be on the receiving end of some bad situations. Billy is a short notice fill-in fighter, a guy I'm not entirely sure is UFC level. He's got decent counters. He moves backwards constantly. So I think it's going to be Guskov looking for that KO offensively, and then Billy looking for the KO defensively, and one of these guys is going to land. You know, whoever starts getting their game off is going to be the one who's going to put damage on the other one, and I just kind of don't think that fight at 205 lasts very long. Kevin Holland and Reiner de Ridder, a 2.5 total. Over is plus 124, under is minus 160. Now, I should have bet this one already, guys. I talked with Mike Idan on Monday about this fight. I like Reiner and I like under, and I like the combo bet of doing both, just because if Kevin Holland is going to win this fight, it's going to be a knockout. Like, there's no way Kevin Holland wins this fight by decision. He's not going to get on top of Reiner de Ridder and get control time. He's not going to jab this guy at distance and hurt him without being taken down. I'm sorry, and not hurt him, but like win a decision at distance, right? And I'm sorry for the sniffles. I got a little cold or something here. So this fight is going to go under one way or the other because Kevin Holland is going to have to finish to get the win. Otherwise, he's going to be on the ground, and maybe Reiner de Ridder can win a decision by just hanging on to Kevin Holland for dear life. But what we saw from his gas tank, what we saw from his striking defense, I don't think you want to play that game. I think you get Kevin Holland out of there as quickly as humanly possible if you get a takedown. So I'm expecting violence in this spot. I like the under 2.5. Minus 160 isn't even that bad of a price tag. I should have got it when it was minus 115 because there's been a big move towards the under here, and I completely agree with it. Beneil Dariush taking on Renato Moicano, 2.5 total. Over 2.5 plus 100, under 2.5 minus 130. Again, splits are gross. Check out Bet Openly. You'll get a fair number on both sides of that. I do like the under 2.5 here for this fight as well. I have one concern, though. So Benny Dariush coming off back-to-back KOs. Everyone's predicting Moicano by KO. That's exactly the kind of situation where an old fighter does exactly what they need to do, everything within their power just to get a damn win, just to get back on track, just to get the monkey off your back, just to shake out the cobwebs. That's what happens. So I kind of expect that we might see a slower pace battle from Beneil Dariush. I'm not sure he's got the cardio to do that, though. That's kind of the problem here. So if he starts to slow down, Renato will take over and will start to put it on him and will start to hurt him. So Benny's going to have to get on top of Renato and really focus on like the positional wrestling, savoring his gas tank and making sure he remains calm in that situation for this to work. That's the only situation where this goes over, in my opinion, because if Benny comes out the way we've seen him before, it's going to be a slugfest. If Renato Moicano gets in any kind of control positions or anything like that, it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a ground and pound. He's going to look for a submission. Now, I don't know if he even can submit Benny Dariush. I don't think anybody has. So his submission's questionable. But I do think there's paths to finishing on both guys' sides of things. But they are both 35 years old. This is a high-profile fight where one of these guys is really going to fall down the rankings back to the bottom of the barrel. And it's a statement type of fight. That fight goes two ways. Either you're really scared to lose your position, so you fight a little bit more reserved, or you're taking your moment and you really go for it. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. So tentatively say the under 2.5, but I just want to let you know there's enough reasons for me to think this fight could go over that I'm probably not going to get too invested on that one if I do make any kind of a bet. Yuri Prochazka and Jamal Hill on this fight. Here is a 1.5 total. Over is -160. Under 1.5 is +125. And I kind of like the over in this one. It's the same situation as Peyton Talbot. Both these guys have absolutely massive fight-ending power. Both these guys have been knocked out by Alex Pereira. I highly question Yuri's durability. But what we've seen from Jamal Hill is he's more of a tactician. You know, you look at the Glover fight; it went all 25 minutes. Now I know Yuri did too, but that was more of a Glover being durable and staying in there with him than it was a tactical thing. Jamal likes to drag his fights out, and then he sharpshoots from the outside, right? So I think that if this fight is Jamal Hill's type of fight, he's going to jab, he's going to stick and move, he's going to use his footwork, he's going to drag Yuri deep, and Yuri frankly likes to melt people. He likes to take over as the fight gets deeper. So I don't think this is going to be a round one banger. Both these guys just got knocked out in the first round, so I'm not sure either of them are going to be clamoring to have that experience again. I kind of think we see a slower paced fight, and I think the over 1.5 makes some sense. Morab and Umar for your co-main event. Over is -300 for the 4.5. What are you going to say? Under 4.5 is +220. Gross splits. I actually think the hot take this week for me is Umar inside the distance, you guys. There's been all kinds of stuff coming out. Morab has some kind of an injury that he's talking about, making it very difficult for him to train. It looks like he's got a bad staph infection on one of his legs. I mean, maybe it's not staph, but like clearly it looks like he's got like an infected wound on one of his legs. So the UFC PI is closing their doors, kicking him out anytime Umar is in there. He's very difficult to train. He's already said that there's an injury. And then we have seen Morab hurt multiple times. He got that weird leg pumping submission against Ricky Simone where like he got caught, he got choked out, and just through sheer motor, he kept his legs going to kind of stay in the fight. Well, he got submitted essentially in that fight, and then he got knocked out, or he got hurt very badly to the body by Sean O'Malley. Like this guy is not cast iron. Like, don't get me wrong, he's very tough. His recoverability is extremely good, but it's not like he cannot be hurt. And especially if he does have some kind of a staph infection, or frankly any kind of infection, he might not be 100%, and he's already admitted to not being able to train the way that he wants to. So is his cardio and his durability going to be where it normally is? I'm not entirely sure that it is. And frankly, Umar is going to be the first guy where he doesn't have to worry about the wrestling of Morab. He's going to be big enough, strong enough, and skilled enough that the relentless takedowns from Morab is not going to be a thing that deters him, and this will be a first because everybody else that Morab has fought has been terrified of that takedown. Except for Henry Cejudo, and that was a close fight against a smaller man. This is the same situation against a larger man. Petr Yan wasn't really able to let his offense go because he was worried about the takedowns. Sean O'Malley wasn't really able to let his offense go because he was worried about the takedowns. Now you've got a guy who can strike in Umar Nurmagomedov who doesn't have to worry about those takedowns whatsoever. He's going to be able to let that offense go. So I actually think there's under potential here, but I kind of like the Umar props instead of playing an under 4.5 because Morab just never finishes. There's no way Morab ever finishes. Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan, another 4.5 total. Over 4.5 is -180. Under 4.5 is +140. And I said on the Monday show that I felt like this one was going to be an over, and it looks like this number has come down. I'm kind of second guessing that a little bit, you guys. I've always talked about how Islam is a little bit chinny. You know, he cuts so much weight. It's absolutely insane how much weight this guy cuts. He needs to move up a weight class. He wants to move up a weight class. Arman Tsarukyan is a guy who's been hurt before. He's got fastballs that he throws. He's got incredibly quick hands. He's got several knockouts. He's also got a motor on him. We've seen him get on top of people and pound them out. And on top of that, Islam, his striking has gotten improved big time. Like, you know, we saw what he did to Volk. He can knock people out. He's got head kicks in his arsenal now. So, like, there's danger on both sides of this thing, both striking and grappling. But frankly, the cardio, I think, might be the bigger concern here. Islam slowed down badly against Volkanovski when he was fully trained on a full camp, ready to go. Arman Tsarukyan in their first fight gave him a run for his money, and he was not on a full camp. He was coming in essentially short notice. This time he'll have a full camp, and if there's anybody who can go motor for motor with Islam, then it's going to be a guy like Arman. And if you slow down the way Islam did in round 4, in round 5 against a guy like Volkanovski, Arman is basically just a bigger version of him, and I think there's a chance that Arman could like hurt and ground and pound Islam Makhachev out the deeper this fight goes. So hot take, I'm flipping from over to under on the way this fight goes. Both guys definitely have finishing opportunity. I'm not sure if I want to play the under 4.5. I might leave it alone, especially because I'm, you know, flip-flopping. But sprinkling the Arman Tsarukyan round 3, 4, and 5 TKO props, now we're talking. That's the Total Takedown, guys. We'll see you later for the Undefeated post-weigh-in show. Come on back. We're going to do the Sharp Action Report live here on the channel as well. Let's roll.